Alright, what's up guys? It's K-Rod here. I'm back with another good video for today. Let's talk about Mr. Terence Bud Crawford. Yeah, so Terence Crawford, he's been, doing some weird stuff lately. But what just got really worse for his career, as I can tell that Terence Crawford is not willing to solidify his legacy and career. Terence Crawford is now officially going to fight Mr. Jose Zepeda. Jose Zepeda is a 140-pound title contender. I could probably say that. I don't think he's ever won a title. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he did win the WBC at one point. Let me just, check that, because I'm almost positive that he did win the WBC. But, yeah, let's talk about that, because Jose Zepeda, he's never won a belt. I don't think so. I know he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did take out some good names, but yeah, right here. Actually, no, I don't think he's ever won a title. Wow. Did he actually win a title? Wow, that's sad. Wow, that is really sad. Jose Zepeda never won a title. Yeah, it was for WBO. Yeah, he got stopped, or he got injured. Yep, he dislocated his shoulder. Wow. That should have been a no contest. Fuck that, man. Yeah, that doesn't make any fucking sense. But, yeah, this guy has never won a world title. Wow. Wow. That is really bad. Wow. I feel bad for him. I really do feel bad for him. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Terence Crawford is fighting this guy. He's fighting he's fighting a good, decent southpaw fighter. Not really too high on this guy, Jose Zepeda. I like Jose Zepeda. He's a good fighter, but this guy is a world contender. He's 32 years old, out of Mexico. Good fighter. As far as him fighting 140-pound competition, he beat some good names. He beat Ivan Baranchik, and I don't know who else he beat. I know he beat Jose Petraza. That's a good name. But other than that, Jose Zepeda is really like a nobody. I'm sorry to put him down like that, but he hasn't really been fighting any good top tier names, even though he's been out of the top ranked stable. I kind of just think, like, at this point, there's really nothing I can really say that's going to help him, because it's like what is he going to gain from this? I do understand that Terence Crawford is cherry picking this guy because he knows stylistically he could beat him. But it's like, how is this helping Terence Crawford? What is Bob Arum going to say to Crawford the minute this fight is over? And what is Terence Crawford going to do with his career after he goes through this guy? Because at this point, I'm just thinking, like, Errol Spence is going to apply pressure and try to get Terence Crawford pressure to fight him. And if Crawford doesn't want to give up that belt, in which I really wish champions could force themselves to be mandatories, because it would make everything easier and better for all these sanctioning bodies to just keep belts moving and get rid of all these, semi-titles in boxing, and just have a main belt and have an interim title. That's it. There's no reason why champions that want to unify should not have the ability to become a mandatory to another champion. Because if that champion's avoiding me and he doesn't want to fight me, I should push my mandatory towards him so he could just lose his belt, and then I can go about like my way to to fucking win. Because it doesn't make any sense. It's like, if you see it in other sports, you see it in the NBA, people, players aren't ducking from other players. Players are always going up against like, the best competition ever, and regardless if you win, lose, or draw, it don't matter. The NBA is set to have the best facing the best every single day. So why the hell can boxing not have that? I don't understand what is up with this, political drama in boxing where if I'm a titleist or if I'm a world champion, I can just hold my belt on forever and not choose to unify, and then I'm still considered a champion? No. I should be a fucking undisputed world champion. I should be the number one guy over everybody else. It should not be that hard for me to determine if my career is going to be good or not by just saying, okay, if there's going to be 4 belts, if you're a champion, you should force a mandatory to another champion, and if that guy or woman does not want to fight you, then they should be forced to give up their belt. Basically, they should be forced to lose their belt, and then that champion fights, the mandatory right behind you. Because you should not be holding on to a title and play this game of keep away and just get away with all this crap, you know what I'm saying? So now, we're in the situation in the sport of boxing where a guy in Terence Crawford, considered to be one of the best pound-for-pound fighters, if not number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, fighting a bum by the name of Jose Zepeda, which I ain't got nothing up against Jose Zepeda, but Jose Zepeda should not be fighting Terence Crawford at 147. What the hell is this shit? And just because that all these Bud Dick riding fans are gonna say, "Oh nah, man, you don't know what's going on." Bud Crawford is fighting a very good, credible opponent. Jose Zepeda, he's not he's not like the biggest name in the world, but it's still a decent victory for Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford is still gonna be pound for pound number 1 in the world over Errol. Blah blah blah, and yet. Terence Crawford, he said, he ain't gonna fight Errol no more. So, he's just going to fight, whoever he wants that's gonna move up to his, division, blah, blah, blah. And, it's all the, mentally retarded bullshit that people throw in to protect Terence Crawford to make it seem like he doesn't need to fight the best. And when it comes to actual smoke time, where real fighters that actually are tough contemporary matchups for Terence Crawford call his ass out, his ass is not going to be answering that phone call when he gets a call by, let's just say, Jaron Ennis or Keith Thurman or Sean Porter. Even though Sean Porter, he's kind of a little bit suspect. I don't understand why he didn't push for the Terence Crawford fight, or at least try to negotiate on a easier playing field to make that fight happen. That's another topic for a video that I'll probably cover in the future, but you can just see that Terence Crawford, he's not willing to fight the best. If he was willing to fight the best, if I was Terence Crawford moving up from 140 after I just unified all the belts at 140 to become undisputed the easy way, which he didn't do it the hard way, because he could have fought AB, he could have fought all these other guys coming up. This nigga literally fucking flaked out on all the smoke, and he just basically just gave up. And you can tell because just take a look at what the hell he's been doing and compare that to a guy like Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Andre Berto, Adrian Broner, all these other guys that he could have fought coming up from 140 to 147. Terence Crawford did not do any of that. If I was Terence Crawford, if I was coming up from 140 and I said I'm going to get a belt at 147, my first opponent I would be going after to beat the living shit out of would be Keith one-time Thurman. If I beat Keith Thurman, I go after Manny Pacquiao, because remember, Manny Pacquiao was fighting Jeff Horn for the WBO belt, or I believe Manny Pacquiao was the WBO champion, and then Manny Pacquiao lost the belt to Jeff Horn. So he could have gone that route. So Terence Crawford would have been the WBA Super World Champion, or like he would have been the WBA Super, because Keith Thurman, he had the WBA and Errol had the IBF. So after that, Terence Crawford would have gone after Sean Porter, because remember, Sean Porter and Danny Garcia were fighting. They were fighting for the WBC title. When Sean Porter had won against Ugas the first time, or actually, didn't Sean Porter? No, Sean Porter beat Ugas, for his second attempt for it. So Sean Porter was a 2-time world champion for the WBC title. Yeah, got it. So Terence Crawford would have faced Sean Porter after he had defeated Keith Thurman, and then it would have been Manny Pacquiao or Errol Spence winner, because Manny Pacquiao, he definitely would have unified with Errol Spence, and then Terence Crawford would have gone after Errol Spence for undisputed. So this isn't rocket science. It's just that Terence Crawford, he basically just gave up a huge opportunity to make this money, and now he's just wasting his time with Top Rank. And now it's just like, I don't even know who to blame. Is it Terence Crawford to blame, or is it just Mr. Fuckboy piece of shit Bob Arum? Because Bob Arum makes me seem like that part of this is his fault for him preventing the Manny Pacquiao fight that could have came to fruition back in 2014, that Terence Crawford has been trying to get that fight made for the better yet of 6 to 7 years, and nothing has fucking happened. And I'm sorry that I'm swearing, but it's just like, I'm so angry because nothing is going to where we as the fans wanted Terence Crawford to do in the first place. So now Terence Crawford is now playing literally backwards golf, where he's just shooting himself in the foot, kicking himself 500 meters backwards instead of going 500 meters forward. So now, my only thing is that after Crawford beats the crap out of this Jose Zepeda, which I don't see Zepeda lasting no more than 4 rounds against Terence Crawford, I think what's going to happen is that Errol Spence, he's going to apply pressure. If there is no more options for Errol Spence to try to get that last fight for undisputed, because we all know Terence Crawford, he's gonna make all those bullshit excuses to say, "Oh, nah, man, I ain't gonna fight you unless I get 50-50." But then he's gonna backpedal to say, "No, I'm never gonna fight Errol Spence ever." No, that Terence Crawford, he was the one calling out Errol Spence and all this other bullshit. But if that does happen, if Errol Spence cannot get a fight with Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford is gonna duck Errol Spence, which that's what I am predicting. I don't ever see Terence Crawford having the balls to fight Mr. Errol Spence, because I think Errol Spence is literally going to ragdoll the shit out of him and literally just beat his ass to a bloody pulp, which I don't like to wish that onto any fighter. I like to wish, the best success, but as skills recognize skills, and as iron sharpens iron, and as demons are being bred out of other demons, I think Errol Spence is literally Scorpion mixed with Ermac from Mortal Kombat, and Terence Crawford is basically Jackson Briggs. He's Jackson Briggs mixed with Johnny Cage. He cannot mix it up with Errol Spence to his, level. And I think that, I think honestly at the end of the day, it's just all about who's going to come out on top. But I just think, honestly, it's just all fucked up for, Errol Spence, because Errol Spence, he's doing all this heavy lifting, and his toughest fight to me is going to be Manny Pacquiao. And look, I'm a southpaw. I love all my southpaw fighters, and I get better when I look at southpaws. But Terence Crawford is not the best southpaw in the world. Errol Spence is literally the most deadliest southpaw I've ever seen in the sport of boxing. And the way he fights is kind of like how I like to fight. I like to keep my hands up. I like to move around in the ring, but when I see that I could stay up inside that pocket and I could still look good and I could still trade off of certain shots and use like my jab and use certain reflexes and then catch people with like that 1-2, hard left hook counter or that good straight right jab, off a off a back step or L step. It's like I can learn better from Errol Spence than I can learn better from Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford, everybody says, oh, he could switch it up from orthodox to southpaw, but it's like he doesn't do any of that. Terence Crawford in the Kell Brook fight literally stood inside the pocket with Kell Brook, and Kell Brook was just hitting him with that jab, like boom, 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 and then Crawford's eye was almost literally balled up. Like, I kid you not, Kell Brook could have literally stopped Terence Crawford, but what saved Terence Crawford was that he positioned himself to get that right shot off of Kell Brook, and then he got that good hard counter when he switched to southpaw, and then boom, he just stopped Kell Brook. Which is really smart out of Terence Crawford's end, because, it makes all the perfect sense in the world why he did do that, but it's like, why do you think that he had to do that? Because he was getting his ass beat. He cannot beat you off of an orthodox position, but when he goes Super Saiyan and goes to southpaw, he somehow beats you? So when he did that to Green Beans, Mr. Igis Kavalaskis, he almost got stopped in that fight too, because he got dropped and then he got hurt, and then Igis, he got held it up by Crawford, and then when Crawford, when he whatchamacallit, when he started tying up with him, and then he positioned himself to get that one good shot off of Igis, it was like, oh, okay, now Crawford beats him up. But compare that to the Kell Brook fight. Kell Brook was on the verge of almost stopping Terence Crawford, because Crawford, he left himself wide open to get hit with that jab, and then he could not get through that jab off of Kell Brook or try to get through it, and then he eventually, found that one opening that got Kell Brook, caught lacking, and then boom, he got lucky to knock out Kell Brook. But throughout that whole fight, within 4 rounds, Terence Crawford was losing 3 out of what the 4 rounds. The 4th round was like what gave him the upper edge to win, but the first 3 rounds Terence Crawford was losing. But that's pretty much what I have to say. I don't see how this is going to help out his career. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Terence Crawford is in a good situation, or is he in a bad situation? I think Terence Crawford's career is absolutely screwed, and I don't think Terence Crawford is going to be able to re-sign with Top Rank. I think Bob Arum is going to kick him to the trash can, or even if he is accepted to be re-signed, which I highly doubt, Mr. Josh Taylor is going to take that O away from Terence Crawford, and we're probably going to see Terence Crawford never to be talked about. But as far as everything else goes, I think Terence Crawford is going to wait for Errol Spence to leave 147, and if he is successful by having that go his way, he'll probably unify all the belts at 147, which I highly doubt, because you already know who the hell is going to be waiting for him up at 147. It's going to be Mr. Jerron Boots Ennis, or maybe Keith One Time Thurman, or shit, you may never know, but maybe Mr. Virgil Ortiz might be up there. You just don't know. But I think Terence Crawford, he's just really holding up the division, and it's really bad for the sport. So let's hope that Terence Crawford, he got some manhood to actually face Mr. Errol Spence. I don't think so, but if he could prove me different, please do so, Mr. Terence Crawford. I ain't got no hate against Terence Crawford. I'm just pissed off that he's deciding to fight a bum that has never won a world title, and he's never been close to one. So, it's just horrible, man. But that's pretty much what I gotta say. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, hate, comment, subscribe. I don't care about you haters. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see y'all later. Thank you very much, and peace out. Bye.